From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Rachel Uchitel, with Gina Grad on news, Bald Bryan on sound effects, and the final matchups of the Bittersweet 16 in March Madness. And now, it's April, but he ain't no fool. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on. A mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
He hit me, and it felt like a kiss.
We have a mashup from Kalen to get to. It's a Phil Robertson Bubba Gump mashup, which escaped me, but I think it'll all snap into focus for you. We have. I gotta be upfront with you. I am hung over, man.
Oh boy.
Good for you.
Yeah. I went
Say.
out and had a 6-hour dinner with Chris Morgan from Fast and Furious.
Ooh la la. All right, tell us all. Where'd you go?
And he, I'm sure, ordered the drinks for you.
Oh, he knows. Here's how specific.
You have a martini order, right? If I remember correctly?
His martini. Not only do we have, very specific gin recommendations, but one pearl onion, one olive.
Oh, the Gibson traditional hybrid.
Yeah, very, very traditional.
Ooh la la. No, the traditional is the olive. The Gibson is the onion. He
does the hybrid.
Right. Sorry, the hybrid.
You really are hungover.
Yeah, started off with the martinis. And then,
do you remember what kind of gin he goes for? He obviously calls his own.
He wants something that nobody ever has. That's your power move.
Buddy, I get it.
He's probably made it up. Like he's because it's a sweet move. Like you go to you go have a martini and a gin martini, any kind of gin. Then they go, you have flapstack macker. And they go, no, we don't have that. And then it seems like, okay. Well,
I guess I'll go for something lesser than.
Right. So he goes for one or two. They don't have the one or two because I don't know anyone who has the one or two. And then we settle on whatever. We drink the martinis. At a certain point, it was a 6-hour dinner. Well, it was 5 hours and like 45 minutes.
We're not going to quibble over the 15 minutes.
The entire place was closed. At a certain point, we got a bottle of wine. And then at a certain point, we got into, let's try. Now, it's the Parkway Grill. And the Parkway Grill is sort of two restaurants. There's the Parkway Grill in Pasadena, and then there's the sister restaurant, which is right next to it. And they sort of share a parking lot, and we're sitting outside. And all I really recall is at the end, he said, let's try an old-fashioned from the other place.
Jesus.
Wow, you're doing the wheel.
He's trying to get you drunk like he's going to take advantage of you.
He may have. And it wouldn't have been a bad night.
It was
for me.
welcome. It was welcome.
Yeah, I was kind of sitting with my legs pretty far apart.
Yeah,
so I could have been asking for it. But then at a certain point, I think the last drink of the night was, let's try an old-fashioned from the other one. So let's compare the two old-fashioned offerings. Old-fashions are awesome, by the way.
Should it compare?
They both tasted good to me.
Pretty good to me.
They're both wet.
And then at some point, I think the waiter who was sort of hanging out with us because the place had closed 3 hours earlier came out with the huge ceramic tequila bottle. The big ceramic tequila, the white with the blue or whatever.
White?
Yeah.
We got one of those.
And he's like, hey, try some of this. And I was like, sure, I've only had 11 drinks. Why not do this?
That's too bad. That's some high-end tequila.
Yeah. Yes, I could have been raped and killed and left by the freeway by the Uber driver, and I wouldn't have pressed charges. Yeah. What is it? Is it
Clase Azul?
Yeah, Clase Azul.
It's 2.5 feet tall.
Yeah, that thing came out, and then that was about it. But it was 7 to 12:45. And my last words to Sonny was like, yeah, I'll be back early. We'll watch that movie. Never.
He's waiting on the steps with his catcher mitt.
Single teardrop.
That guy's such a great talker and such a great guy and has so many, cool projects with The Rock and everything coming up. And of course, I always need to know about what's going on with Hobbs and Shaw and Fast and Furious and everything. I should have known because our lunches are 3 hours.
Yeah.
So dinner should be 6 hours, and it is, and there's no lulls, and there's no. I didn't remember finishing half the stories I started, but anyway, got the tomahawk steak.
Ooh.
For two?
Yeah, I like the tomahawk because it's too big to take home. The bone is too big, so they just put the foil around it. Essentially creates a weapon for your ride home.
A holder, basically a holder.
I could have stormed the Capitol building with that goddamn tomahawk steak. Did that? Oh, did the surf and the turf?
Oh,
Yeah. What's
a night
that?
to remember.
Yeah.
Do you remember the wine? Text Chris Morgan from Adams.
I remember saying the words Russian River. That was that's what I said. I said I like
Northern California.
I like the Russian River stuff.
Okay. Well, what came? No one knows.
Yeah, no. But that's the words. Those are the words I chose. Yeah, you've been there for a while when at a certain point the waiter's sitting down and just drinking with you.
Yeah.
And there's not another human being in the place. But woke up a little hungover this morning.
Say.
Gotta be truthful about it. A little off my game. I've tried everything, working on it. Got my liquid IV going. There's just no the problem with the hangover I realize is you got to make a dent in it that night.
Yes.
You got to start that night. Never do that night. It's always like I can always tell because, by the side of the bed, you got the pants where the one leg's inside out and the other's not. You gave up on it somewhere trying to get your pants off. Yeah, fuck it. I'll just pull them off. Still in the loops. But needs a certain amount of attention that evening, I realize.
The water, the Advil,
yes,
the saltine.
Never put the time in. Always just crash out, and then it's time to pay the fiddler.
Price,
Heading off to Leno's shop after we tape this today to do some sort of event over there. Still a little unclear, but Leno's great. Leno.
Bring the Chick-fil-A. Bring the sandwiches.
Don't mention Chick-fil-A.
Leno's cute. He's kind of simultaneously the most regular guy you'll ever meet and maybe the most irregular guy you'll meet. But he
seems peculiar in some ways, but just incredibly normal in other ways.
He's one of these guys. I don't know, certain people have like different relationships with their phone. First off, I realize how goddamn lazy I am, which is if I can't use my earbuds now, I won't even use the phone. It's like I'm not going to hold this thing up to the side of my head like some kind of caveman.
That's right.
I'm so damn spoiled by the earbuds that, I might do a little speaker action, but I won't even put the phone up the side of my head. Anyway, Leno's one of these guys where if he calls you at some point and you don't answer, which is what I do because I never bring my phone into the studio. So I just shut my phone off. I go into the studio, and I'm in here for hours on end sometimes. And then Jay, he's one of these guys who, if he calls you and you don't pick up, he'll call again, and then he'll go like, when were you? You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And I go, I was doing a podcast. Oh, I called a couple times, and I go, yeah, I know. I'm working. And he's like, is this a good number for you? I'm like, yeah, it's a great number. It's probably the best.
Jay, remember when you used to work and you filmed a TV show?
Right.
Oh, how many calls did you take?
Because I called, and away we went. So he does that, but he's kind of cute that way. And so I'll go to a shop and I'll see him and I'll see Bernard and all his guys, and we'll tell me all the new cars he's got, and then we'll get into it. Tells me his Jay Leno's Garage line of automotive products is doing quite nicely.
Oh,
I think.
like what? Like what? What's he got?
He's, it's weird. It took him a long time, but, spray detailer and instant wax and glass cleaner and just that whole line of stuff.
Stuff for us, not like, the intricate stuff, like stuff that I could do.
Yeah, like this spray detailers, it's good stuff. Like you don't have to take your car to the car wash, but, or every so often. But either way, that's doing well. So I'll get you guys caught up on that after I see Mr. Leno in a couple hours. We got Kaylin's mashup with Phil Robertson and Bubba Gump.
Shrimp is the fruit of the sea.
Every way known to man to eat a duck, we have it down.
You can barbecue it, boil it, broil it, bake it, saute it.
We boil ducks, bake ducks,
Pan fry, deep fry, stir fry.
fry ducks, grill ducks.
That's about it.
Yeah, well, nice job,
Well
Kaylin.
done.
He just randomly sent me that today, but I really appreciated it.
Good for him.
Good for Kaylin.
Getting high and doing some work.
Getting high and doing some work. All right, I had a thought about bespoke shoes. I always talk about ways to kind of measure success. I usually use my own family as a sort of negative example, as a control group.
Then we're all doing quite well.
We talked about how many clickers do you possess? How many have you used, over. Even expanding, I was telling this to Matt DeAndre. Like, yeah, well, how about like a key card or something like for parking at work? I was like, nope. That would suggest you worked at a place that needed a key card, But I was thinking about shoes. Feel like I brought it up before, but a well-lived life. We'll try to figure it out. Is it 3.5 bespoke shoes? If you have
Jesus.
if you have dancing shoes, that's a good sign. If you have your own golf shoes, that's probably you're at a certain station in life.
I'm totally with you on this line, but when you say bespoke, do you mean made by a cobbler for you to fit, or do you mean
No, I shouldn't have said it that way. Just
for
a genre.
specific instance?
Yeah, I shouldn't say bespoke.
These shoes are for this.
These shoes are for this
okay.
purpose, not bespoke. You're right. So golf shoes, good. Dance shoes. Bowling shoes, driving shoes. I have
Even tuxedo
race
shoes,
car
like
driving.
those shiny ones that are for block tie events.
Patent leather, which could mean that you were like in the military, for instance, like dress shoes for like the military.
Dress blues. Yeah.
Volleyball shoes, even basketball shoes, cleats, track cleats. The more of those kinds of specific shoes for specific endeavors, probably the more well-rounded and possibly happier your life has been.
Boat shoes, do those count for double?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of folks wear them on land,
That's true,
but
not on the actual boat.
Also, I don't mean to shit on anyone's hobbies, but is there a bigger chasm than bowling shoes to driving shoes?
no. But yeah, you can rent shoes, obviously, at the lane. Sounds weird now that everyone did that. But
If you have your own bowling shoes, that's something.
That's something.
yeah, having your own bowling shoes is good. And then you get into like spikes for climbing a frozen
I
waterfall.
was just gonna say, if you have water shoes, like with the what, because you're
Water
hiking
socks.
through like a rocky river.
Yes.
that's something.
I will add waders to that. Maybe you're doing a little fly fishing, something like that. So what's the over under on a successful life? Is it
I think guys versus girls is going to be very different.
Well, I was just going to say, does that mean I peaked in high school? Because then I had character shoes, tap shoes, ballet shoes. I had all the shoes, but I don't do a lot of genre specific shoes anymore.
what are character shoes?
They're like a T strap, so they're you can't like walk out of them. So if you're dancing or if you're
the ones that go over the
stage
top.
cross,
Yeah.
Wow.
There may be,
That sounds awesome.
they're not. There may be a half inch to 3/4 inch heel. They're very square. They're very utility for theater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, we're looking at them now. Yeah, they look like Lord of the Dance shoes.
Yes.
To me, or Lady of the Dance. Yeah, I guess. And then there's boots and like hiking, but you have to be used for hiking. Outdoorsy stuff.
I have the boat shoes. I have the river shoes because, and I have snow shoes, like actual boots. For
that's
the
a good
snow.
one.
Wait,
Yeah.
that look like the tennis rackets?
No. These are like lines.
Oh, okay.
He's not
LRB or
tracking convicts. That's for tracking things.
I grab a pinch of the snow and taste it. And go, it's close.
That's right.
But I'm trying to think of what else. My athletic career is, way in my rearview mirror, so I don't have the golf shoes. I don't have cleats.
Pair of cleats for softball is a good sign. Well. All right. Let's see. We have some Cosmo dating tips. We're gonna revisit because I think Rachel Uchitel is plugging up dating websites. So
Not just any dating website.
Oh, really?
The grand dame of dating websites. I can't wait to hear about this. If I am not mistaken, she is plugging the Sugar Daddy website.
Oh, really?
Am I? I hope I'm not wrong about that because I'm very excited about this.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
How does
I create a profile.
How does it work?
We're gonna find out. I
Okay.
don't know. I can't wait. This is what I imagine. This is the one that matches the sugar daddy to the sugar baby because everybody's looking for something.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's find out.
Well, I'm excited to talk to her because I saw the Tiger documentary.
Yeah, me too.
Kind of curious with this car crash. They now see no signs of him braking or trying to do like an evasive maneuver. So according to some of the latest stuff, it just seems like he was passed out or asleep. Kind of a weird thing to be in the morning.
Yeah.
Too, like
Plus the reports where he left agitated. Like it wasn't like he was in a sleepy state.
Right, and he was on his way to work.
And he was like rushing to get somewhere. It's all very weird that but I don't think there's like a toxicology thing. I don't think they checked or some version of that. Anyway, we'll see if she has thoughts about that. Also, there's a vid, a Joel Grover thing that I wanted to get to. Oh, we'll get to that. We have the Cosmo. We have me answering Cosmo questions from the 90s.
Yeah, this is from December 1997. I should point out that they have spelled your name correctly, and you are the co-host of MTV's Loveline.
Wow, it's all fixed up.
Yeah.
The question is, how can I get him to notice me? Adam Carolla says, if a guy's interested in you, he's looking for any excuse to ask you out. If you've given him the slightest opportunity and he doesn't bite, it's not because you didn't send a clear enough message, but because he's not interested. Bring up a new movie. If he says he doesn't like love stories, he's telling you he's not available. You could hit that guy over the head with a board and he wouldn't notice you in any romantic way. Men may be a little dumb when it comes to relationships, but they're geniuses at the pickup part.
Does this make you the original? He's just not that into you.
I'm sure.
You could have scooped the whole Greg Barrett thing.
I know. It could have been on Oprah. Where did Drew write his column? Because now
that was for Sassy Magazine.
Gio pointed out to me that Drew wrote a column for Sassy Magazine.
Oh, yes.
I guess the way it worked back then is if you're on MTV and you did a show on MTV, at some point people just come to you and go, do you guys want to do a column for Sassy Magazine or
that would
whatever?
be my achievement day for the rest of my life.
Did you read Sassy?
Of course I did. Sassy was great.
Oh, really?
It was, yeah. It was so bad good. It was for teenagers and preteens. I just thought that was, that's how the world worked. I want to look like her. I want to think like this Adam Carolla guy telling me how a guy likes me. I mean, this was your Bible as a little kid.
Sassy. I don't think it's, I guess, I don't know what the circulation of Tiger Beat or Teen Beat or Sassy, I think that stuff's all gone. The internet is replaced all that stuff.
I don't know.
It's all on the
I guess
internet.
that's sad. There was nothing better than getting that subscription and getting your Sassy magazine in the mail or begging your mom to let you have one from the grocery store. It's a big deal.
Remember that. Just remember the notion. How about just the notion that a $1.39 magazine was a big ticket buy at the grocery store? Come on, Dad. Sports Illustrated, come on. Well, I don't know.
We'll
Christmas
see.
is not coming up for another 4 months, and your birthday's already passed. Like, can you imagine just telling your kid, like, no magazine. You shall not read.
Yeah.
I know you would like to involve yourself in this endeavor, but I shall not heed this request. Like, it sounds so insane now. If you were... my kids would literally be confused if I told them, no, you can't. We're not buying that. We can't afford that magazine. Like, I don't even know if they would ask. I think they would just go get the magazine and throw it onto the conveyor belt.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. And I don't know how expensive this was. All I know is they sold it at the grocery store. But every single time my mom took me to Hy-Vee, which I don't think we have out here, the Hy-Vee grocery store, I would go to the cosmetics section. Hy-Vee, how
How's
dare
it
you?
spelled?
Hy-Vee.
Hyvee.
Oh,
They
so
also had
sorry.
an indoor, like a, like the hot food bar. They also had like booths, so it felt very fancy if your mom let you eat in there.
The hot food bar was another no-fly zone. Like, don't even look. Don't even go near
Every once in a
that.
while, my mom, if I was grocery shopping with her late, I'd get to go pick out, some macaroni and cheese and chicken, and we'd go sit at the booth, which was fantastic. But she would leave me at the cosmetics section, and I would just stare and not move. Stare at the Debbie Gibson Electric Youth perfume bottle with the little pink coil inside, knowing I'd never get it. But I wanted to be close to it.
Yeah, I don't know. Or what's going on? Is everything just shat out of China now? Or what? Is everything cheap? Or am I just rich? Or what the fuck is going on?
Maybe a little of everything.
Maybe a little
Yeah,
everything,
a
but
little of that.
man, there were a lot of rules about sections you could go to, and you would never. You'd go to Sears, be there for 3 hours, and leave with nothing. That's just literally just walking up and down the toy aisle, staring at stuff. You have the definition. Oh, Gina, do you have Leah Thompson's?
I do. Right here.
So this is how do I get the guy to notice me?
Yes.
Okay.
When you like a guy, it's really hard to act normal, but the best way to get a man to notice you is to relax, be funny, and be yourself. Men really appreciate a sense of humor. It makes people feel at ease, and it has always worked for me. Most importantly, feel comfortable with who you are and project that confidence in a friendly way. That's what turns a man on. The overtly sexual stuff gets you nowhere. Guys may notice, but they're going to be too intimidated to come up to you.
What?
The
overtly sexual stuff gets you nowhere?
Every syllable is wrong. Every syllable in that is wrong. And I'll tell you why. First off, if the overtly sexual stuff, the plunging necklines and the makeup done up, if that was not effective, it would have gone the way the fucking dodo 5,000 years ago.
Yes.
But it still works.
Women would not be keeping up with all the work and expense that involves with the overtly sexual stuff. This other part where you're supposed to feel good about yourself, feel comfortable in your own skin, I don't like that. I like insecure. I like damaged goods. I like low self-esteem. I'm looking for the lame gazelle that can't keep up with the pack.
Right.
I'm the cheetah. I want to pick them off. You know what I mean?
Don't trust men.
That's right.
Don't
That's
trust
right.
yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, you're not trying to fuck Shecky Green.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I run my fingers through my hair and you flinch. That kind of self-esteem. Dawson, you have Drew? Oh,
No,
do
this
we
is
have
another
Drew?
one from you.
We have another one.
Oh, we have another one. Here we go.
I said, I love you first. Now what? His side. Adam Carolla says, wait 5 minutes, and if he doesn't say anything, tell him, don't speak. I know you're overwhelmed. You may have been thinking about this for weeks, then dropped it in his lap, expecting an immediate reaction. Give him 2 weeks of non-pressure. He may be scared or confused. After some time, you can say, I said something that meant a lot to me. I'd like to know what you're thinking. If he can't give you an answer, maybe it's time to change the relationship.
Ooh,
Savvy.
look at you.
Yeah, sober, savvy.
Absolutely.
No Chris Morgan drinks that.
No. What did Leah Thompson say?
Let's see. She says, it's sexist to think a man's supposed to say I love you first. I'm all for saying how you feel in a relationship. Get it out in the open and find out how he feels. Sure, the guy may have a scary reaction and you'll feel like you've made a fool of yourself, but you haven't. You spoke from your heart. If he doesn't say it back right away, give him time. Bottom line, own up to your feelings. If you're in love and he isn't, then it's time you found that out and moved on.
I agree with Leah.
Yeah.
You have Drew's sassy tip.
Yeah, so this is from Sassy Magazine. They put the call out, is your heart a yearning or your bod a burning? Then write to Dr. Drew with some questions.
Little Gina.
What
Mommy,
year
can I
is-
have
This is 95.
95.
Yeah.
Wow. Over 25 years old.
Yeah, so this first one's trouble bound. I'm 15 and my boyfriend is 24.
Whoa.
The drop.
I love him and I want to lose my virginity to him, but I don't want to get in trouble. If I consent to having sex with him, can he still catch heat from keeping it safe? Then Dr. Drew says, yes, he can still get in trouble because according to the law, you are not old enough to render consent. The age of consent varies slightly from state to state, but is usually 18 years of age. The law protects the younger individual because a sexual relationship between two people with a significant age gap can be emotionally damaging to the younger partner. Think about the reasons your boyfriend finds dating you attractive. Does it put him in a position of power? Does it impress his friends? Is he uncomfortable with women his own age? Examine your reasons too. Does it impress your friends? Does it irk your parents? Do you enjoy the raised eyebrows you get when you're with him? With a 9-year gap, your life experiences are very different from his. Are you both concerned about the same social issues? When he was 15, people were just beginning to talk about AIDS. Are you into the same music, or does he think L7 is a brand of detergent? Consider how much you have in common and decide if the relationship is right.
I mean, it's
Did
still
they?
right.
Did L7 do bowling ball?
L7 did
You're thinking, are the breeders who did Cannonball?
Oh, Cannonball. Sorry. There's Pretend That We're Dead or
Pretend We're
something.
Dead, yeah.
Pretend That We're Dead. You guys remember that song? It's a K-Rock hit from, I don't know, 96 or... Well, no, it had to be 94 or 95.
92.
Wow.
Yes.
Hey, Chris.
Very 92.
Yeah, Adam.
It's a pretty good riff.
It's catchy, yeah.
We're all bobbing our heads.
Got a nice bottom, man.
Yeah. Nice and thick.
It's a pretty basic song. You guys know this one?
Yeah.
I gotta wait for the hook.
There you go.
Baby, vaguely.
It got some spins on K-Rock back in the day. All right, we have the March Madness. First, let me tell you about Tommy John. I'm wearing my Tommy Johns right now. Put a little extra dousing and dosing of talcum down the front before I took off for a nice walk in the neighborhood.
And you know what? Tommy John's good hangover clothes. Comfortable, move well.
Yes, good for working out, good for the walk, good for the rowing machine, the elliptical. Tommy John celebrating their 13th year. There's a party in your pants, and you're invited. Celebrate with a new pair of Tommy Johns. Again, it is it. It's breathable, it's lightweight, moisture-wicking fabric, 4 times the stretch of competing brands. Once you go with Tommy John, you're never going back. Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics. They've done over 13 million pairs. It's the best pair you'll ever wear. Or it's free. Guarantee, right, Dawson?
Get 20% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/Adam. That's 20% off loungewear and underwear at TommyJohn.com/Adam. TommyJohn.com/Adam. See site for details.
All right. We will take ourselves a break. We will come back and we'll do March Madness, the hungover edition of March Madness right after this.
Adam Carolla's I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, navigating our all-woke, no-joke culture, has over 1,000 5-star reviews on Amazon. Here's one.
The last Adam Carolla, common sense, get through the amazing.
Yeah, Ozzy. Pick up I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, navigating our all-woke, no-joke culture, and leave your 5-star review on Amazon. Get all the links at adamcarolla.com.
All right. Let's see. Shall we roll right into it, Dawson?
It's time again for more engagement and enragement in the Big Rants March Madness. Let's recap yesterday's Bittersweet 16 action. In the California Conference, LA's homeless problem was sent fleeing from the tournament like a California taxpayer to Texas by Gavin Newsom. And in the Classics Conference, unrinsed coffee mugs were stubborn and hard to remove from the tournament. They advanced over click it or ticket. Today, first up, more action in the California Conference, with Mayor Garcetti putting on his yoga pants to go up against Forest Lawn Flower Guys.
Garcetti, I know you want to rule everything with empathy and love and sympathy, and we need to reach out like it's one big, long fucking Subaru commercial. How about you do what I've been suggesting my entire adult life? How about we run Los Angeles like it's a fucking business? Just run it like a business. And people go, Garcetti would never do that because he's all Mr. fucking feel-good, and that's not touchy-feely enough. Guess what is sympathetic and empathetic? To run a well-managed business. If you have a good business, your fucking employees are taken care of. It's not like, oh, this guy wants to go to a corner office and smoke a cigar and run the city like a business. What about these people? What about the people who need the help? What about the homeless people? What about the disenfranchised? You fucking run your business right, and those people shall be taken care of. Go down to Silicon Valley. They run a fucking hell of a business over there. Go into Google. Go into Disney. Go into any of these other big... Go up the street to fucking Disney up here. They run a business. Guess what? The outside of the business has cacti, has flora and fauna, not a fucking weed anywhere, no homeless, no graffiti, no nothing. Let's run it like a fucking business. We don't have to run it like a fucking sweatshop. Run it like a fucking business. Do not believe me? Walk down to Disney. Like I said, go over to DreamWorks, go to any of these places and see how people flourish when you run something like a fucking business.
Forest Lawn Flower Guys.
Oh, Forest Lawn Flower Guys. They are folks that are here that are working in a underground dark world of selling flowers without paying taxes, without pulling permits, without doing anything that would involve a society. But here's an angle nobody touches on. The fucking garbage angle. If you drive down Forest Lawn Drive and you see the dirt highway these guys stand on and sell all their flowers, there are no trash cans there. There's no nothing there. So when they're done selling their flowers, the boxes, the wrappers, all the shit that the flowers came in just pile up by the fucking side of the road, making it that much uglier. Not as ugly as the other side of the road where the cop on the motorcycle's handing out chicken shit tickets to fucking taxpayers. And let's talk about traffic. Because if you go over there on a Saturday and you get off the freeway, they're all standing by the side of the freeway now. I almost got into an accident because some guy stopped there and was undergoing business while the rest of the fucking freeway on-ramp just backed up all the way in the fucking freeway. It is illegal. The money is not taxed. You are causing traffic. You're causing congestion. You're causing trash. And Nana is none the better for it because she knows You bought her cheap flowers. That's right. She's floating above you. You didn't go to the Toluca Lake florist. You went and bought it off the illegals for $9. You think Nana likes you being cheap after she's dead? I don't think so. And here's an interesting experiment. What if the guy who owned the Toluca Lake flower shop 2 miles away, what if that guy just went out and started selling it on the street? Do you think he could get away with it? No, it would cause traffic, it would cause trash, and they'd want to know where his fucking permit was.
Whew.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should blame Chris Morgan, his gin, or his wine, or maybe the dueling old fashions. But he stumbled out of the gate a little bit. But bringing in Nana and her floating corpse was inspired. Also, the trash angle. I'm leaning towards Forest Lawn Flower Guy.
I absolutely agree. Once again, the Jews have it all figured out. We don't bring flowers, we bring rocks, and we put those on your tombstone. So again, no frills casket, and we bring rocks instead of flowers. But since nobody else does that, this rant makes a lot of sense. I also vote for flowers on the off-way ramp.
Next up, a matchup from the Classics Conference that's sure to make someone cry like a little girl. It's Alyssa Milano versus Gillette's toxic masculinity ad.
Let's just drill down on the name Alyssa. I mean, we have a Melissa and we have an Elisa. Do we really need an Alyssa? Is that even a real name? I'd like to check some fucking ID. I don't even sign off on that name. Alyssa? What do we need to make our own names up for? Come on, girl. And as far as politics go, I would like to take an experiment. I would like to take Scott Baio on the right, washed up celebrity, hard right, Alyssa Milano on the left, washed up celebrity, hard left, and really settle it by forcing them to mate and see whether they gave birth to a Republican or a Democrat. Oh, Gillette's toxic masculinity. I know. Keep going. Keep going, people. We're all just going to turn into one fucking Ken doll here with half a vagina and half a penis. Let's get rid of all the men. Careful what you fucking ask for, because men, as previously discussed, we do the bridge building, we win the wars, we build the skyscrapers, we cure the diseases, we don't push cuticles, and we don't fucking tint hair or frost tips. We do a lot of the fucking heavy lifting in the society, but of course, Gillette would like to get rid of it because it's toxic. And then, in fact, it's not even toxic masculinity, it's just masculinity that you guys don't like. But the last I checked, you fucking hypocrites. And by the way, Gillette, you don't give two shits about toxic masculinity. You don't care any more about toxic masculinity than Subaru cares about puppies or love. It's all just a fucking ruse to push more of your shit onto people and try to fool us into something. We believe something that you never formally said a word about, but you guys make a razor. You make a razor called the Venus. You make it for women. Why should women have to shave their legs? Why should women have to shave their crotch? Why? Venus, by the way, is the goddess of sex and beauty. So which is it? Are you pushing it or are you fucking pulling it? I say fine, we'll get rid of toxic masculinity. You fucking get rid of your razors and let's all fucking fuck like we're Ron Jeremy fucking a throw pillow.
Wow. A much more inspired matchup than I anticipated.
Yeah, I can tell that Adam's a little sweaty and winded, as he should be.
I am.
I really didn't think we were going to get better.
Smells like a distillery
smells like
in there.
Gin in here. Yeah.
I didn't think we were going to get better than the idea of the sort of the sexual cage match between Alyssa Milano and Scott Baio. I thought that was inspired. However, in an odd way, and maybe not the way that we'd all think of it, that last rant belongs in a gender study class. That was about big business, about gender. I thought it was three-dimensional, gripping. I loved the toxic masculinity rant.
Yeah, I'm with you, Gina. The first one, while fascinating and quite the reach, definitely bordered a little too much on eugenics. And the second rant came out of the gate strong with half genitalia and never looked back. I'm going with toxic masculinity as well.
Finally, in the big government conference, it's the minimum wage versus food stamps and school lunches.
The minimum wage. Well, okay, Washington, we're going to make everybody rich by just demanding that employers pay them a $15 minimum wage. Well, guess what? Soon as you start laying that down, what do the employers do? They start cutting back hours. They start automating now. Yes, McDonald's, if you say we're going to have 30 employees and they all need to get $15 an hour, well, guess how many employees they're going to fucking cut, how many kiosks they're going to build, how many robot burger flippers they are going to have. And at some point, no one ever talks about this. What about when those robots become our overlords? That's right. Today it's flipping burgers. Tomorrow it's pistol whipping its subjects and sodomizing them with a dry robot cock. Oh, yes. Hell hath no fury like a dry robot cock. But let me explain something, politicians. You don't think business guys are smarter than you? Oh, they're smarter than you. Whatever it is you want them to do, they ain't going to do it. Go ahead, raise taxes. They'll go offshore. Go ahead and raise the minimum wage. They'll cut back on employees and start hiring robots. You are not smarter than them. I have a suggestion, politicians. How about you step the fuck back and let the smart people handle their own businesses? School, what do we got? Food stamps and school lunches. First off, I used to get tickets for free school lunches. This shit is empty calories and then some. It is not a good sign when you are getting spaghetti and it's served to you from an ice cream scooper. That is a very fucking bad sign. That either means you're fucking dirt poor and your mom doesn't give a shit, or you're in goddamn juvie. But let me tell you what I don't like the most about it. I don't like indoctrinating the kids. I don't like getting them onto the government teat, especially as they get fatter and fatter. Yeah, there's food insecurities. I feel like most of those kids have tough skin insecurities because that fucking button is going to give way, shoot across a fucking parking lot and take out a fucking plate glass window if that fat kid with the food insecurities gets any bigger. But I'll tell you what's insidious about it. You watch that movie, The Town, you see what the florist did? Hooks them up. Good and proper. Good and proper. So you get these kids coming in, you give them their fucking free food, you give them the free breakfast, you give them the free lunch, you give them the free dinner, then you give them the weekend food as well, and they're hooked up. Good and proper.
The second rant was much more inspired than I anticipated. However, alerting all of us to the terrors of AI it gives the first one a slight nod for me. What say you, Gina?
Yeah, I think there was something really inspiring about the accent at the end that I could have listened to, for another 3 minutes. But I think you're right. I think Adam bringing up the Matrix without even knowing he brought up the Matrix is probably something that we should look into more. I, too, go for minimum wage.
Get your bracket at adamcarolla.com and tune in tomorrow for the start of the Irate 8 as the Big Rants rolls on in March Madness.
So there's this Joel Grover who does these like undercover investigations. Local guy, I think. Sweating.
I don't think I'm wrong here. I think he's the reason we have rating systems on restaurants, right?
Yes, I think he's the grandfather of that.
Yeah.
He did a thing because LA is turning into a trash heap. Like I was talking to, all the homeless stuff is all the trash, but then there's just trash everywhere. And because there's dumping everywhere, which is something I've always said that everyone's doing, but no one's really doing anything about it. So he went out and did a little investigation, and I think it's about 2.5 minutes, and we'll 2:20. We'll play it for you.
Investigative reporter Joel Grover tonight got the first look at a blistering report that was made public today. This report details how the city of Los Angeles has failed to control the epidemic, they call it, of illegally dumped trash.
Mounds of filthy, rat-infested trash now block city streets, alleyways, and litter the freeways. Eyesores like these have become as much a part of the LA landscape as the mountains and the sea.
It's utterly unacceptable, and we are all experiencing it, unfortunately, in every single neighborhood of Los Angeles.
LA City Controller Ron Galperin gave the I-Team a first look at this scathing report called Piling Up, Addressing LA's Illegal Dumping Problem.
Responsibility stops with me.
Almost 2 years ago, after questions from the NBC4 I-Team, Mayor Eric Garcetti vowed to crack down on illegal dumping.
We will not tolerate businesses that use our public streets, our spaces, or alleyways as their private dumping ground.
To catch the illegal
Hold on
dumpers,
a second.
Garcetti promised to install...
These aren't businesses.
Yep, that's what I knew you were gonna
This is
say.
garbage.
It's like toxic waste.
Yeah, the thing is they make it expensive to use the dump. Dumpsters are expensive. Construction dumpsters, stuff is expensive. It ain't. They don't do large item pickup is a big deal. So you can't, if you want to throw away a mattress, you can't drag it out to the curb on garbage day. You have to make an appointment. And people aren't doing it because nothing's enforced. So they just go, fuck it. I'll just go to the alley or go to the side street by the side of the freeway and we'll just dump it. I do like these blaming businesses. But all right, go ahead. Sorry, Dawson.
Catch the illegal dumpers, Garcetti promised to install a network of surveillance cameras. Now, Galperin's report says there are only 19 cameras installed in a city of 470 square miles, about one camera to watch every 25 square miles. The mayor also vowed to issue stiff citations to people caught illegally dumping trash. But Galperin says the citations are often only about $250.
When you consider how much it costs to legally dump, it actually pays for many, particularly in construction or other kinds of activity, to do that illegally.
How big do you want to see the fines for illegal dumping?
State law allows up to $3,000 fines, so at the very least that amount.
Controller Galperin says the city needs more sanitation workers to clean up illegally dumped trash heaps.
It's a public health issue, a public safety issue, an environmental issue, and a quality of life issue for everybody.
The head of LA Sanitation tells the I-Team his department has made good progress combating the illegal dumping problem. But he says because of a city hiring freeze during the pandemic, there are now 17 vacancies in sanitation that can't be filled, even as the trash continues piling up.
The I-Team has reached out to the mayor's office repeatedly since yesterday, asking for a comment on the controller's report, and they still haven't provided a statement to NBC4.
That's like I told you guys all those years ago when I was at Garagus's party at his house. I just said, and this is why you want to run the city like a business. You know, you got a problem. What's the problem? Well, people don't want to pay $200 to go to the dump. They can't afford it. These are poor people, essentially, and they're just dumping everywhere. And it turns the place into a shithole. You got to go to the Home Depot and you got to fucking have a guy. I went to the Home Depot in Hollywood once, and I told you an inspector from the city inspection department, building and safety. This guy came up to me and wanted to know where I was going with my 10 sheets of drywall because he suspected I had bootlegged or whatever. Obviously, when they want something. See, the inspections, they want your money. They want money. So they'll dispatch a guy to go to the Home Depot. Then that guy will stand around and he'll look, if you're buying a toilet brush, he's not going to talk to you. But if you got a big stack of drywall and 2x4s, he wants to know if you're pulling a permit. I remember he said to me, "Do you have a permit?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "What's the permit number?" And I said, "Nobody knows their permit number." And he went, "Okay." And he walked away. It's a fucking 13-digit number. Anyone knows their fucking permit numbers. But anyway, I guess he was looking for a little fear in my eyes. But dispatch people, go to the Home Depot, hand out fucking vouchers to go to the dump. You can go for free. Put it up on one of those fucking freeway signs instead of click it or ticket. Just go. You have stuff. You have a sofa. You have a bed. You have construction material, debris. Free You get a free fucking thing, and we'll give you a fucking voucher for Knott's Berry Farm, or a 12-pack of Tecate would probably actually do it. But incentivize people to do the fucking right thing. Hiring more people with brooms, and I don't even know what we're doing with the cameras. These guys are in cars. The cars, first off, aren't even registered. They're old beater pickup trucks. Guys are just chucking shit out at night and driving off. What are you going to do with the camera?
Well, the broom thing you alluded to, the solution that he threw out, like the city needs to hire more sanitation workers. It's like saying, oh, my daughter's cutting herself. I need to get more Band-Aids. Like, no, that may help a little bit in the short term, but you need to do some work.
Yeah, we need to figure out why do we have so many people motivated to throw garbage out? And the reality is the dump is far away. I used to go there. When I was doing it, you do a job and, that was an expense. And it kind of came out of your end of it. I mean, you should work it into the bid, but most of these guys aren't really that sophisticated. So you end up throwing it out on the street. Now, what I would do is a semi-illegal, slightly nicer version of this when me and my buddies would do this kind of stuff, because a dumpster is expensive and the dump is expensive. We would end up going out on a Sunday night and throwing it into a dumpster, like find a construction site. Yeah, I have
a problem with that.
Yeah, it's not right, but it's not throwing it on the ground. We would always toss it into a dumpster. But and then the more you get, the more you're gonna get, and then you end up having a super trashy looking city. But the point is figure it out. More cameras, more guys with brooms. That's not what's going on. Start at the Home Depot, dispatch people, have them hand out shit, do it in English and Spanish, put it up on the freeway signs, and stop the problem. More cameras. I don't even know what that is. Ryan?
Well, and that was just a gesture anyway, because they put 19 cameras up for 420,000 square miles.
Yes, I know. One camera every 25 square miles. One camera doesn't work on your half-size residential lot. Right. You need two cameras to figure out what's going on your property. Ryan, you saw someone dumping?
Oh, yeah. I looked her straight in the eyes. She looked right at me, and she knew that she'd been caught. But I felt like I'd be a huge dick, like if I just, took a video of her face. So I waited until she got back in the car and then popped some photos.
Well, the reality is it's all poor people. This is not, an elitist sport going out in the middle of the night and dumping a bunch of shit. They're not doing it because they're bad people. They're doing it because they're poor people and they don't want to spend. They don't want to spend the money, and the city is not doing whatever the city needs to do to prevent them, de-incentivize them from doing it. So again, back to the rant: run it like a business. Because what would a business do? If a business was going, well, we got this big problem. Well, let's get more cameras. Someone would go, that's real expensive, and I don't think it's going to stop this problem. Let's approach it from a different angle. All right, let me hit. Where'd you see him dumping it out here?
Yeah, it was just right. It's just that classic little walk that you always take. It's right by all the weeds and stuff. And honestly, she kind of seemed. She didn't seem that poor. Like, she seemed like maybe she was a nanny or something. She was driving like a Prius, I think.
Oh, I wonder if there's here's an interesting thing. There's probably a version where people say, hey, here's $100, take this stuff to the dump, and they just pocket it and just dump it there. Either way, trash in the city. Now, it's kind of hard to tell with all the homeless now, because I can't tell what's trash and what's someone's home. That could be their den or their entry hall these days. Either way, not good. Let's see if we can fix it. And again, when I was telling some city council guy over at Garrigus' house, he was like, oh, that's a good idea. They've never followed up. They never did it. Like I said, he circled back to me 20 minutes later and he goes, what was that idea again? Which never a good sign. But here we go. Stamps.com. Trip to the post office. Probably not how you want to spend your time. Stamps.com. Mail and ship anytime, anywhere, right from your computer. We've used Stamps.com here for over 11 years. We send out all our merch and our books and our paperwork. It's all done through our friends at Stamps.com. Whether you're a small business sending invoices, an online seller shipping products, or a giant warehouse shipping thousands of packages, Stamps.com lets you buy and print postage, official U.S. postage, any letter, any package, 24/7, and you can do it at home. Up to 40% off post office rates and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Special offer. 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Adam. That is Stamps.com. Enter Adam. So the woman who did the dumping was dumping drywall.
Out of a Prius?
Yeah, and disassembled table and cardboard. Yeah, it's expensive. I don't know. You guys ever do large item pickup?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you pay your whatever bill, and that's part of the service, but it's expensive. And yeah, you got to arrange it a week ahead of time or whatever. It's not a simple process.
Yeah.
Well, no, but you know why I did it? Because when I lived, and I would do it here too, but when I lived on Miracle Mile, I know my neighbors and I know the other people in the building and I know the other people on the street. And when they see me carrying this disgusting couch out, I don't want to be shamed by the neighborhood. So shame works. I don't want to be the one that doesn't look after the neighborhood.
Well, like we've talked about, all you do is you make aluminum cans worth 50 cents a pound or whatever it is, and there's no aluminum cans. Like I said, you will see garbage and furniture and beds and box springs and recliners and drywall and stucco. You'll see everything but aluminum cans.
Yeah.
Because there's a value to them. So we need to kind of create that for the garbage.
Yep.
And then it will be taken care of. All right. Rachel Uchitel is going to join us. And I want to talk to her about that HBO documentary. Does everyone see Tiger?
Yes.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2 parts?
Yes, 2 parts.
Two
2 parts.
90-minute parts.
It was
something
actually
like
sort of the dividing line was Rachel. Rachel was the
Yeah,
bookmark
she came in the
between.
end of the
she was
first
the
one.
tease
in
at the
between
end.
both.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Rachel right after this.
And now, a tip from the 1965 issue of Good Housekeeping. 120 ways to please a man.
If a man has a peevish, nagging wife, if she's jealous and possessive, if she's lazy or overambitious, that man is going to be unhappy. And his unhappiness will interfere with his concentration on his job. It may even kill a profitable deal.
Just one of 120 ways to please a man. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Don't queer the deal by going all peevish on me, bitch.
Peevish. I heard peevish. Peevish and butthead.
Yeah.
There seems to be a theme, which is you need to strike a balance. You know what I mean? You can't be overly ambitious. That's
Right.
annoying, but you can't be lazy. We don't want
Right.
that. We need just the right amount. That
It'd be
seems to be
nice.
the theme.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk to Rachel Uchitel in a minute when she joins us. We're kind of looking into her dating website that she's plugging, Seeking Arrangement. It's the world's largest elite dating site. I feel like, what is the one? There's like a celebrity one, right? What's that
Raya.
one? Raya.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a stigma to the dating sites anymore. There used to be kind of a stigma to doing. It's probably maybe Grubhub has just made everything wide open. I think there would have been. Well, think about how Good Housekeeping magazine would have viewed a woman having fast food brought to her house, like for dinner. You'd be a fucking pariah. You'd be
What a
peevish pariah is what you would be. I mean, we used to have like a lot more stigmas around activities.
Yeah.
And I think between the computer, COVID, and God knows what else, it's just fucking on now.
Yeah.
I blame
and-
Ashley Madison.
You're right.
I've told you this before. It's not only is it not a stigma, but I have two very dear friends that, are very successful in their careers. They got married. Well, one of them's my friend now. They got married and their hashtags, all these weddings always have to have a hashtag. They met on Tinder. And when you like someone on Tinder, you swipe right. So their hashtag for their big wedding in Cancun was swipe right forever. So nobody's trying to hide it.
All
It's
right.
kind of a cute, funny thing.
Yeah.
And also, I think we used to think there was some sort of batting average, arranged marriages or meeting online or through the wanted ads or something, Lonely Hearts or whatever. But there's no science to this person sat behind me in history class in high school and I got her pregnant. I mean,
I was a little buzzed at the bar and she looked hot in those jeans.
Yeah, what?
I got knocked her up. I wanted to do the right thing.
Yeah, why should that? Or just being set up on a date, even like why? Why is the science? Evidently, there's no high batting average in that technique either. You might as well go online and do it.
It'll be interesting to see down the road, probably decades, what the divorce rate is of people who met online versus the old-fashioned way. I would be very confident they would be lower amongst the people who met online.
That's interesting. And also, I went through there was a day of binging TV shows on Netflix. I never watch like reality shows, but there's one I got hooked on called Indian Matchmaker. Oh, if we can ever get Seema Auntie or Auntie Seema on the show, we should. But that's the thing. It's like, they talk about
Anti-Semite?
Well, they call her Seema Auntie, but yes.
Oh, okay.
But fixing up these Indian kids, they're here, but it, traditionally, and she says the marriages. When you said that, Brian, about you're wondering what the divorce rate is, it's low. When you're actually putting effort into something like that.
Well,
it's
like
a self-selecting sample. Sorry to interrupt that.
Right.
It's a self-selecting sample. If people are like, I want to be in a committed relationship, I'm willing to do the legwork to make a profile, to find people, to exchange, as opposed to, like I said, that chick looks hot at the end of the bar. I'm going to buy her a drink.
Yeah. And as I've said before, if people are now buying cars online, it's open. Everything online is now on. All right. So we'll talk to Rachel whenever she hops on.
Yeah, she should be on any second.
We saw her last with the Tiger doc.
Do you want to hear how
Very
the site works?
forthcoming.
Yeah, how's the site work?
Okay, so they specialize in what they call mutually beneficial relationships. They even trademarked that term. And so it's relationships. So seeking arrangement, the site delivers a new way for relationships to form and grow. Sugar babies and sugar daddies or mamas both get what they want when they want it. No false pretenses. So sugar daddy, or what they call a, quote, successful member, is a modern gentleman or woman with refined taste, exceptional experiences, and abundant resources who is looking for someone to share in their extraordinary life and lifestyle and create a meaningful relationship and experiences. And then what it
I
means.
guess the first question is, how do you verify all that?
Well, let's.
They
I got
verify
Rachel
it.
coming on right here.
I think they verify it.
You gotta verify.
Yeah,
I don't know
they're
how.
background
What is the
checks,
process?
and there's like
Question.
you get like a check mark, kind of like on Twitter. It looks like, Brian, where if
All right,
that your background is
verified.
verified.
Hey, Rachel, can you hear us? Oh, we got-
Just go ahead. Oh, there she is.
oh, there we go. Can you hear
Hi.
us? Hi. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We were just going over your website, Seeking Arrangement, and kind of getting into the nuts and the bolts of it while we're waiting for you to pop on. Where are you at right now?
I'm in Palm Beach.
Is that where you live full time?
No, I live in New York City, actually. I just happen to be here because it's my daughter's spring break. Yeah. Where are you?
I'm in Glendale, California, because I don't really celebrate spring breaks, I guess. Was it crazy? I mean, there was some crazy footage coming out of, I guess, Miami at least. The spring breakers.
I'm not a twerker, so I didn't go down to Miami. But so I'm in Palm Beach with all the calm people. So I stayed here.
We very much enjoyed you on the HBO documentary Tiger. I watched it. We all watched it very closely. I guess, well, what's it been? A month now? I'm trying to think. 2 months?
Maybe more, yeah.
When that came out.
January.
Yeah. How was that experience for you? How did that work?
Well, the experience of it coming out or the experience of me filming it?
Well, both.
Well, choosing to film it was hard because, I hadn't spoken for 10 years on the subject. But when, Alex Gibney comes and says that he wants to have you in his documentary, you don't say no. And so I decided to do it, and I trusted these guys implicitly with my story. And I wanted to speak for the reason that when people narrate your story and tell your story for you for so long, you start to feel like it's unfair. And I wanted to have my own voice behind it. So that's why I chose to talk about it.
Did you feel like you were portrayed fairly? I mean, obviously they can edit. They probably took 8 hours of footage into, 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, fairly, sure. I mean, it's my story, right? So I told what I wanted to say, and they, of course, can use what they want in it, right? Mm-hmm. I had a lot more to say that I didn't say, and I don't want to necessarily discuss with the whole world, but what I wanted to get across in my sharing of the story is that, people have used me as a scapegoat and as a monster for a scenario, and I didn't think that was fair. So I think that the media wanted to use me as somebody, like I took down someone's marriage and I took down some guy who was everyone's hero.
The whole record narrative or whatever.
Yeah. And like I was the reason for this weapon of mass destruction. And that really wasn't the case. I mean, this guy was driving in a car towards a cliff, and I happened to be a passenger in the car when he went over the cliff, and I became famous for it. Right. And then for the last 10 years, I felt like I really have worn this scarlet letter, and I wanted to sort of say to people, listen, I'm a person, and there's been this shame associated with me for 10 years, and I'd like people to let it go. And so that's where I was coming from.
Yeah, it was very double standardy in terms of how our society works, sort of blame the woman and sort of give the guy a pass or feel some empathy for the guy. I mean, that was really double standardy, I think. Yes, Gina.
I think you're absolutely right. And to that point, it seems like, in these grand sort of broad narratives, we always say, well, what can the woman do? What power does she have? She's in some ways less than, until we need a scapegoat for something that a man should have taken responsibility for. And we see that narrative a lot in high profile cases.
But don't you feel like society hasn't gotten over it yet? I mean, we still do it. And the other woman is still the homewrecker, the mistress, the whore, the prostitute. I mean, the other woman doesn't really get the chance for a comeback. And I feel like society isn't over it. And they don't really give women an agency almost. If you're too young, you're a victim. If you're too old, you're a homewrecker or a mistress. And you don't really give women a chance for a comeback. And it's odd to me that I've worn this for 10 years. I mean, I didn't have 15 minutes of fame. It was 10 years. And so it's been hard for me. It really has. And so I chose to speak out because I wanted to get over it, really. And I wanted people to get over it. And then I sort of was trying to take, dirty lemons sort of and make it into lemonade. And so I took the opportunity to, sort of get my life back almost. And now I've taken this opportunity to literally, I was able to get a, multi-million-dollar company to give me a job and work in a billion-dollar industry, which is online dating, because I've had so many sort of high-profile relationships that people can't get over, and talk about online dating, which is a real industry that people want to talk about. People want to talk about sex, love, and dating. And now I'm able to talk about it in a way that people can hopefully move on from my past relationships. And I can talk about that going forward, because that's what people really should talk about, because I know all about it. Right?
Well, let's talk about it. So
Okay.
we're just trying to figure out like what the vetting process was for the sugar daddy, for instance. Like, how do we vet
Right.
that guy?
Right. Well, so here's the interesting thing that why I love this opportunity, right? So the sugar daddy and the sugar baby taboo has been, around for a while. And I think it's more because people are so accustomed to like this stepping back. When they see it, they're like, oh my God, because they look at the older man and the younger woman, right? And they're like, oh God, whatever. But it's not necessarily the money concept that has them thrown. Because if you look at your parents that are married, men are taking care of women if they're married, and it's not so, people don't raise their eyes at that. Or people that are in long-term relationships, men are taking care of women. So that this is not the issue. But if you go on online and you're looking at sugar babies and sugar daddies, this concept, it's not the price point that is throwing people. It's people are getting this taboo about the age bracket. So I want to get away from that taboo, right? So our site, seeking.com, seekingarrangement.com, is we want to demystify what people are thinking about this site, because the online dating arena here is where people should be going to look for their match right now, because you can't, as we climb out of the pandemic, the only place to go to meet someone right now is online. You can't go to the bar, really. You can't, go around town and meet someone because it's still not necessarily available or it's not safe. So you can go online and you can meet someone. And at seekingarrangement.com, you have the optionality to check all these boxes for who you want to meet. And it's a great way to meet someone because, in our opinion, the only way you're going to have a successful relationship is if you put out there transparency and you put out there what you want up front. Because no one wants to go on a fourth date and find out that somebody lives with their mom, or they can't pay for your Uber ride on the way home, or, or they're married, or whatever it is, right? So if you put out there up front exactly what you can offer, what they, you want up front, then you have more chance to have a successful relationship.
Well, let's ask Rachel and let's ask Gina. What if I'm making out a profile? We'll put money and aesthetic aside. What traits do you want to hear? What do you want to, like, stuff that maybe guys wouldn't think would be good, but you may respond to, like loving animals or something? Like, I probably wouldn't say that unless I was trying to get laid. But what are?
I don't think that would help you get laid.
It wouldn't.
That wouldn't make me want to have sex.
What would you look for? What would you look for on the profile?
Golf enthusiast. Just kidding.
Well, for me, first of all, I always tell people that they have to update their profile pictures, because no one wants to see these ridiculous photos anymore of men or women with zoo animals, right? Because I think we've seen enough of those. Those are really dumb. And there's way too many of them. You always see people with a tiger or, with some baby koala or whatever. I think those are overplayed and stupid. And I just don't think they get you anywhere. I mean, I don't know.
I totally agree. Everybody who goes to Thailand who takes a picture at the ass end of a drugged animal, I don't know why they think that's going to get them laid. It is ridiculous. You also can get chlamydia from koala bears. Rachel, I couldn't agree with you more.
How about
dolphins rape people?
How about riding a dolphin? That wouldn't work?
Dolphins rape people. How many times have I said this on the show? And it's underreported because nobody wants to admit they've been raped by a dolphin.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'd play that pretty close to the vest.
It's a good point.
All right. So update the picture.
Yeah.
Right.
Now
right.
What characteristics are we looking for?
Right. So keywords, I mean, I would say that you have to be honest about whether or not you want someone who's a family man or someone who's a party animal, right? So I want to date someone who has kids because I have a child and I think it's important, right? So I would look for somebody who puts in keywords about family or kids, because that's something important to me. But if somebody wants someone who's single and who likes to go to Miami and parties and goes to Vegas, they should look for those keywords. So I think keywords are really important. But I do think that it's important to spend time looking at someone's profile, but funny is important to me. Listen, people go on different sites based on, also, let's talk about it, economic bracket, right? I mean, money means something to people, so we should put it out there. And it doesn't mean like, we're not talking about gold diggers here, but I think it's important to say that no one wants to date the loser in the corner that doesn't have any motivation and doesn't have a job. No one wants to date that person. So no one should be ashamed of saying that, because the first, someone might ask if someone was being set up on a date, they're going to say, oh, is he cute? But they're also going to say, well, what does he do for a living? People used to go on JDate because they wanted to date an accountant or a dentist or whatever, right? Or people go on The League because they want to make sure that, they were dating somebody that went to an Ivy League school, right? So people go on Seeking Arrangement because they want to know that the person can pay for things. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
What about, now here's a theory. All right, okay. So everyone loves a sense of humor, but everyone says, I have a sense of humor, I like to laugh, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't really prove you're funny or have a sense of humor. Everyone says,
everyone thinks they're funny.
Yeah, everyone says, I love music, but that could be Dixieland. You know what I mean? It might not be what your version of jazz. I said I had this conversation a million years ago with Bob Ringwald, who's Molly Ringwald's dad, and this is what I was 16. I was standing in his backyard. They used to live up the street, and but it made me realize when I was 15 or 16, like how different people are. So he said to me, "I love jazz, and I love comedy." And I said, I love jazz and I love comedy as well. And then he said, I love Dixieland and Gallagher. And I went, oh, yeah, that's how different. I was picturing.
I wasn't lying.
I was picturing jazz trumpet and I was picturing George Carlin. But anyway.
He was ahead of the curve on creating a profile because he massaged it to sound much better than it was.
I know. He was blind and then I pushed him in the pool. But I think he's still blind. The point is this. Everyone says, oh, I got a sense of humor. I love a sense of humor. Like, I love to laugh, but you may not be very funny. Should we try to be funny in the profile?
Yes. You should put it out there. Like I say right out there, I'm a country music fan, or I like Daryl Hall and John Oates, but I'm not going to listen to Metallica and all your other bullshit that you like. I won't listen to it. I won't go to Soul Cycle. Trump fans don't apply. Like I'll say that shit right out there. Sorry, Can I curse?
Go ahead.
Please.
And so I will say that right out there. Do not write me if you are X, Y, and Z. Because again, I don't want to go on a date and waste time getting my hair blown out and not go to the gym the next morning because I've gone out on a date till 12 o'clock, if I'm going to sit across the table from someone and listen to their life story and then find out that, they don't like some sort of, music that I like
but
or whatever it is.
It's still not really answering the question, which is, should you try to be funny in your profile? In it.
Yes, you should. Yes, don't just say you're a comedian. Yeah, no, say that you have a foot fetish, whatever it is. Sure.
All right.
What Rachel's talking about is getting all that first date shit out of the way before the first date. All the getting to know you stuff. It's the more efficient way of doing things.
Yeah. Say you like to say your mother pays your credit card bills. Say, get it out there. Say what your negative is.
I love vivisection.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there. Get it out. If you don't like animals being tortured, then step off. Sorry.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the verification thing, Rachel. So the one thing I'm still curious about is, let's say someone goes on there and is like, I'm wealthy, I'm a successful podcast host, I own many Paul Newman cars.
Yeah.
How do you verify that information so some girl doesn't get duped? Or guy, I guess, either way.
Well, there's no way to say, to verify whether or not the guy makes $100 million, right? He could check the box that says that he makes that. And that's sort of ridiculous. What can be verified is the background check. Right. That there are background checks that can be done for people and those kind of things. So people, and on all online dating sites, background checks can be done, and people need to be very careful when they are meeting people or looking through people's profiles to make sure that they are doing their due diligence. And if a background check is important, that they're only responding to and talking to the people that are background check verified. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you got to just be careful that you are smart and talking to people that, anyone can say anything about themselves. I can say that I have 5 homes and a yacht and whatever, and that I'm 6 foot tall and sultry and whatever, anyone can say anything, and then they can show up. Here's the other thing. People, sorry, just go back to what you're saying. People can put on a profile picture from college and make themselves 10 pounds thinner and then show up and they're clearly not, right? So I'm not sure why people will make themselves out to be someone that they're not and then will show up as $100 million less well off than they are. I mean, that person is clearly an idiot because they are representing themselves to be someone much bigger than they are, and they will always fail, right? So you would hope you're not talking to somebody that sets themselves up for failure. So because they will never be.
It's a bit of a zero-sum game. You're not going to go anywhere if you portray yourself as this and show up as that.
Right, exactly.
Well, yeah,
so
I think it's a lot.
You get the sense from talking to them of who they are.
It's a lot like the picture. I mean, how long is that going to last when you guys go out to dinner? I mean, eventually they're going to be looking across the table at this version of you. Gina, yes.
Adam, please tell Rachel what you think should go in all dating profiles when it comes to men's sincerity and women's sincerity. If you don't remember, I'm happy to jump in.
Please, I don't.
Adam feels that all women should, in their profile picture, be on a scale with a newspaper from that day, so we all know where we stand. But all men should be against a 7-Eleven height chart with a copy of what's in their bank account.
Yes, and you also had the great idea of having your ex write your dating profile.
Oh,
yes.
That's a great idea.
Everyone should just, because the ex is going to, we don't need to talk to you. You're going to
I always
embellish.
do say, I do always say, what would your ex say is your best quality and your worst quality?
Oh.
And I do ask, how many girls think you're dating them?
Oh, that's
yeah, because I do say to men, how many girls are you dating? They say none. And I say, but how many girls think you're dating them? Because it's a different answer.
So what's your status now, Rachel?
I'm single, and I'm always looking for my forever love because I do believe in it. I don't know if you remember, I was on Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew many years ago.
Yes.
And, I'm very close with him. And we had a great, I wouldn't say a great time filming, but I had a great
It's a party.
I had a great experience with him because I was on the show for Love Addiction. And, that's when I really realized that I had a problem with relationships and mistaking intensity for love. So it's a constant battle for me, figuring out my relationships. So I do pay close attention to who I'm dating and why I'm dating them. So I'm constantly sort of reevaluating why I'm in a relationship and who I'm dating. But I do believe in love. I want a witness to my life. I really do. I believe in that. And I'm hopeful that will happen for me.
A witness to your life. Is that how you described it?
Yeah, I believe in that.
I'll get you a Ring doorbell and we'll save you a lot of heartache.
Always there for you.
Yeah. And I know you famously, or I should probably phrase it some other way, but you did lose your fiancé on 9/11, correct?
I did. Yeah. Yes, I did.
That had to be wow, that was an event that changed quite a bit in your life for sure. I mean, all of us were kind of touched by it, but it didn't change the trajectory. We didn't go a completely different direction. What was that? What was that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely changed the course of my life for sure. I was 26 when that happened. I'm 46 now. It's coming up on the 20-year anniversary, but it's odd. I mean, it's still almost feels like it happened, just a couple months ago, right? And I remember every detail as if it happened just the other day. And it was very hard for me. I had just gotten engaged to Andy 2 weeks before he died. We had dated for 3 years. We had just gone away to Greece for 2 weeks, and we had gotten home from Greece that Sunday night, and he was killed Tuesday morning. And I worked at Bloomberg News at the time, and I worked on the 5 a.m. shift, and I went into work. And I remember he was watching the Weather Channel that morning, and I got up and he said, "Oh, it's going to be a beautiful day today, just like it was in Greece." And we had taken all these photos from Greece. And at the time it was, you had 1 hour photo. We didn't have cameras anymore. And we had gotten all the photos developed the day before. And he said, "Can I bring all the photos into work?" And I said, "Sure." And I grabbed all the, the
negatives.
Yeah. I can't even remember what they're called anymore. And I asked to grab I said, "Oh, give me the negatives because you're going to lose all the photos." And thank God I did, because he took all the photos in with him. It was like 7 packs of photos in with him that morning. And that's, sort of all I have from our Greece trip, which is really sad. But he called me that morning when he got into the office and, spoke to me for a few minutes. And it was really surreal. It was a horrible thing. And I was covering it for news because I was a journalist, and we were having him tell us what he was seeing in the other building. And he was on the 104th floor and across from Cantor Fitzgerald. And so he was telling us, I'm watching people jump out of the building. And he was saying, "Oh my God, it must be so awful for them to be jumping out of the building." And so I was just repeating it to our control room. And we all, we never had the thought that his building would fall. So I wasn't scared, and he wasn't scared. And so for him the thought of him not coming home we just didn't ever think that was in the cards, So in speaking to him, he wasn't trying to get out of the building, and I wasn't saying, "Get out." There was no fear, and he wasn't a fearful person. I am not a person that feels fear often. So, it was just a very surreal day for me. And then to lose him the way that I did made me into a completely different person. I was such a little girl then. And to think about how that day affected me, and to look at that photo, I mean, the picture of me was captured by the Associated Press. There's a very famous photo of me looking for Andy that was captured about 3 days later in front of Bellevue Hospital, where I was searching for him. And
people had just put pictures everywhere saying, "Have you seen this person?" I mean, it was covered.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you guys remember, it's a picture of me holding Andy's photo, and the Associated Press had just,
We're looking at it now.
And it makes me cry to look at that, because I had actually gotten my hair cut that Monday morning. When I came back, I had really long hair like I have now. And I got my hair cut. And that Monday night, he said, "Oh, you look like a wife now," because we were engaged. And anyway, so I remember I went up to a journalist and I was talking to him, and I was just talking like I'm talking to you now. And I was very efficient. I was talking like a journalist. "Okay, so this is what he looks like, and this is where he was, and this is the last thing he said to me, and he was wearing this, and blah, blah, blah." And then I just started crying, and I said, "You have to help me. He's my whole life. I've searched for him my whole life, and I finally found him, and I don't know what to do. Can you help me?" And that's that moment of, "Can you just help me? I don't know what to do." And it's that feeling that I still feel in my life, that I've been searching my whole life, and I've never recovered from that, and I never will. And it's really sad thing, because that fucked me up. It really did.
Yeah.
Sorry that I just went on.
I think it would fuck everyone up, or anyone up. Or so he was in the second building, and the plane hit the second building some time later. I don't know if it's 20 minutes or if it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long, was it? But
no. So it hit he was in the second building to get hit, but it was the first building to fall.
Right. And he was up, so the plane hit underneath him. Right.
Yeah, it hit below him. I think it hit maybe on the 75th floor, and he was above it.
And I guess there was so much debris and stuff falling off the first building that they told everyone to stay in. Like, and it was also we were also different as a society. It was like, just stay where you are used to be the, if there was a school shooting, just get under your desk. There was all this.
If Gina and I are at the mall as kids, if you lose your mom, just stay where you are.
Yeah, everything was just stay where you are. If you get lost in the woods, stay where you. Everything was like stay where you are. I don't think we're really that kind of society anymore, for good or for bad. But and you were talking to him, getting updates, doing your news job, right?
Well, I was on the phone with him when the plane hit his building. He was still talking to me, telling me what had happened. So I knew where he was. I knew he was on the floor when the plane hit. So I knew where he was, and I knew he couldn't get down. And so he had been in the building for the first World Trade Center bombing, in 1993 or whenever it was. He had worked there, and they had told him to go to the roof that year. I remember he had told me the story. So I figured maybe he would be heading to the roof. And again, you still don't have that sort of creativity to think in your head, oh, next scenario would be the building could fall. No one came up with that, right? So I still wasn't really fearful that he would never come home. I just did not think that. I thought, okay, we'll figure it out, right? He'll figure it out. And I figured he'd go to the roof, or they'd figure out how to get the fire out or whatever. And then, you maybe or maybe not remember the pictures, but the building ends up, the upper part of the building tilts to the side, which is where he is, and then it crumbles down into the building itself and falls. So there wasn't enough time for him to get down, and there wasn't enough time for him to get up. But either way,
Wow.
And then for weeks, you sort of, people searched and looked, but immediately, that he couldn't survive it. But that walk home that night for me was silent. And then you sort of search and wait. And when I went home was the worst, because it's like, and here are things that are so weird to talk about. And I don't know that I've talked about this much before, but I remember going home and seeing his boxers on the floor in the bathroom because he had, showered that morning, or going home and seeing the bed unmade, or pressing play on the radio or whatever to hear what he was listening to that morning when he was getting ready, or, seeing the stuff that he had laid out that morning. I mean, I didn't want a person to touch it, because I left everything as it was, and I slept on the couch because I didn't want anything to be disturbed, and I would wait for him to come home. I was like, wait, no, he's going to come home. We got to figure it out. And I left the TVs on for weeks, every TV in the apartment, to get some update and calls. I mean, it was bizarre for everyone, right? It was horrible, but you finally come to terms with the fact that he's not coming back,
Did you, really, probably knowing what we know now, that's post-traumatic stress. I mean, you probably should have spoke to a professional or had some gotten help like almost immediately. Was there any of that in your life?
Yeah, I think I eventually saw a therapist, but I think I felt really resentful to have to speak to a therapist. I do remember, because I felt like you haven't been through what I've been through. Why am I even speaking to you about this? Like, I felt I was speaking about something that people that hadn't really gone through that emotion and that loss couldn't even comprehend. So for just someone to sit there and nod and write down what I was saying, I wanted to sort of punch them in the face, because what were they going to do for me? Because I couldn't express that anger and that, you just can't express that to people. Sorry.
All right.
And that just wasn't helpful. So really the first time I got help was with Drew. I mean, he really helped me, and helped me be able to talk about that. It was really hard. It still is really hard, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has to be. Did they ever recover his body, or
They did. I got, so it's so odd. They sort of send you shit in the mail. So I would get these envelopes with, this is horrible, with burnt stuff in the mail of his, like his ID from work, with nothing in it, just like burnt stuff that they would recover throughout the months after. And then I think it was like around New Year's Eve, I got a phone call saying they had recovered his body. And the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head, which was important for me because I wanted to know how he died. I wanted to know if he was burnt in the fire. I wanted to know if he had choked on smoke. I wanted to know what his cause of death was. That was really important to me because I needed to make sense of what he went through, and so he obviously fell with the building and, whatever. But so.
Wow. Yeah, that is, yeah. The notion of, I don't know, inhaling smoke, it just sounds so torturous,
Yeah.
I mean.
So I wanted to know that it was quick or whatever happened, I needed to know that. I just needed to know because I wanted to feel like I was there with him or that I had some sort of closure so that, not that he knew that I knew, but at least that I could make him feel like in my own head, I knew what happened to you, so I could say in my brain to him, Andy, I found out what happened to you. So you weren't alone when you died. That's what I was trying to make sense of it,
Yeah. Gina?
Yeah, I just keep thinking about what you said about feeling so resentful in therapy. And that's so interesting because you think, if you're in therapy because you're going through a divorce, that's something they've seen it 1,000 times. They've collected all of their experience and their background to help you specifically with something that's so, common. And obviously there are people in the world that of course experience tragedy and catastrophe, but you make such a great point. It's like, I know you've never dealt with this and I don't even know how to express it. And I know you don't know how to receive it.
Right. Yeah. So, and it's not that it was their fault, right? Because I was there to talk to them. Right. But I just felt so much resentment of like, I'm suffering and I don't know who to talk to. Right. And I've been through all these different things and I've lost my father from cocaine overdose, and then I've lost my fiance in such a traumatic way, and I'm suffering, and I don't know who to turn to, and you're not helping me, and not, it's no one's fault, but I'm just suffering so greatly, and I'm so lost, and where do I go? And I just was so helpless for so long, and I think that just made me run to Vegas. And that's when I sort of ran to open up Tao nightclub in Vegas and just turn to be another person and find a shell of, being another person, but I was always the same person inside, just had to find a different shell of how to find credibility of love or worthiness. Do you know? Maybe makes sense.
Yeah. It's a tragic, crazy story. And, so many people were impacted, but, some people, I remember I didn't even see it in real time. I just kind of woke up late and got a call saying, did you hear what happened, or turn on your TV or something like that. But I mean, not only you were there to experience it, and then, your scenario is about as bad as it would get in that situation, because speaking to him, being there, doing the news, being up early, just that, yeah, if, everyone was impacted in some way, you're definitely not an enviable situation. But I'm glad we spoke about it. I find it, I don't know. I found it interesting. Sorry. And sort of meaningful. So,
Rachel, is it helpful to talk about it, or is it easy?
It is.
It can't be easy, but what I'm saying, is it cathartic in some way?
It's so cathartic, and what also was helpful for me as a young girl, as being 26 and losing such a powerful person for me, was that, at the time it was so hard because this photo came out of me in the paper, right? But I felt like the nation was mourning Andy with me because so many people wanted to find out what happened to Andy, right? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just like losing my fiance in some accident locally, or I lost him to within me and him, right? Or
you couldn't have your private moments.
Right. Yeah. Right. So everyone was asking me what happened, and they all wanted to know about him, and everyone was so interested in finding out who he was and if they had ever found him. And that made it easier for me to get through because so many people were pulling for him and were looking for him. And that was so helpful. But what was interesting about that is the media shaped me into making me a victim of September 11th. And then what happened was 10 years later, the media made me into a villain in the Tiger Woods scenario. So, it is very interesting, my life, how it's been shaped, that whether because of fate, like in September 11th, or because of my actions in the Tiger Woods scenario, the media has really cast me into a role. So I found my life into two really tragic and chaotic positions, but the media has really taken control of my life. And it's been things I've needed to see therapists to talk about it. But not easy scenarios for me to live with either way. So it has been very interesting to be cast as both narrations.
Well, it's interesting that you say it was helpful when people were pulling for you and wanted to know what happened to your fiance, and that totally makes sense. And I guess my question before you had just said that, I was thinking to myself, I wonder if there was sort of another kind of post-traumatic stress with the Tiger situation, saying, again, I can't deal with this relationship with this man privately. Will everybody just get off my dick? So I don't want to keep going through this publicly.
Well, of course, no one, first of all, I didn't want that to come out either. But then, when you have something like that blow up and then everyone wants to make a judgment about that, right? When it actually is between three people, right? And everyone wants to have a comment about it because they're so threatened by it really in their own personal life. And that's why they have such a judgment about it. That was so difficult for me because they all want to jump on it because you're the other woman, and they have such a judgment about the other woman. That was so difficult because he's everyone's hero and I was the monster. So that was so difficult for me. And it has been difficult for me to live with that for 10 years, because for 10 years I got to be everyone's, victim around September 11th. And then sort of like they said in the Tiger Woods docuseries, which I found very interesting that they used this scenario, but crabs in a barrel, people want to sort of pull you down when you get to a certain level, and they build you up or they make you into something, and then they really pull you down and make you into something else. So but they've given me nowhere to have some sort of comeback or leave me alone just to be who I am, because I was a person before. Right. And I've always been a person after, but they don't give you any sort of circumstance to just live your life. If you don't have a talent, or you're not a man, or you're not, anyway, so it's been an interesting life that I've had for sure.
Let me give a plug. Seeking Arrangement, and you can go to seeking.com, and let's find Rachel some love. By the way, Gina, if you're doing your profile, leave off the phrase "get off of my dick."
Yeah,
on your profile.
Like
Save
Yiddish, like sometimes there's just a way to describe something, and that felt appropriate.
Hey, Rachel,
everybody get off my dick.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks for your candor.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
It was
I really
interesting,
appreciate it.
and we'll have you back soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let me hit Total Gym. Oh, yeah, working out at home. Well, you can't, if you live in California, you can't go to the gym these days. Or I don't know, I think they're 10%. occupancy. That's why I love our partnership with Total Gym. Their premier model, Total Gym Fit, gives me the full body workout, and you can do it at about half the price of expensive fitness bikes. We have it set up here, and everyone uses it here. I use it here, and the guys use it here. We have it set up about 30 feet from where I'm sitting. Over 85 exercises on one machine, 12 levels of resistance. You can work your core, your arms, your shoulders, your biceps, thighs. You do the whole body in just about 10 to 20 minutes a day. Comes fully assembled. Just pull it right out of the box and pop it up. Folds down. You can slide it under your bed. And they've been making home equipment and home fitness equipment for 45 plus years. A+, Better Business Bureau rating. Total Gym, right, Dawson?
Right now, Total Gym is offering a 30-day in-home trial on a Total Gym Fit for just $1. Seriously, $1. So what do you have to lose? And no matter which Total Gym you try, Adam Carolla listeners get an additional 20% off whatever discount they're currently running. Just head to TotalGymDirect.com/Adam to get this special offer. You must go to this URL, TotalGymDirect.com/Adam, to get an additional 20% off.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and do the news with Gina Grad right after this.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking, viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad. Stuff face on TMZ. Joe Biden, Kamala. Big news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
This just coming in right before the show started, the Associated Press reports that French President Emmanuel Macron has announced a 3-week nationwide school closure and a month-long domestic travel ban in an effort to help fight the rapid spread of coronavirus over there. In a televised address to the nation Wednesday night, Macron said efforts are needed as the epidemic is accelerating. School closures in particular for them have apparently always been a last resort, and a debate is scheduled in Parliament that will address this virus situation and any new measures or old measures they want to go back to.
It's every time I talk to Drew about it, he's like, we can't figure this thing out. You know, the places, the United States is doing pretty good, but it was spiking in like Michigan. Don't know why it was spiking in Michigan. Michigan was one of the more lockdown states was Michigan. We had a big spike in California. We were one of the more lockdown states. There's just nobody has any idea how this virus works.
What I've read, and Drew probably knows a lot more about this than I do, but is that Europe has been really, let's just say, bad at rolling out vaccines, and I think that's contributing to these spikes that we're seeing in Europe, whereas it's being tamped down almost everywhere here in the United States.
Yes, and they were also talking about in India, the good news, because they're having a horrible spike as well, India and Pakistan, the good news is a lot of these vaccines are manufactured there, so at least it's like, you know, sort of direct to consumer, and they can cut out that wait time.
Yeah, like when you live in Golden, Colorado, you can get a break on Coors.
That's right.
Exactly.
Gas is cheaper in Texas.
Yeah, who's got it here? You guys are almost. Gina's done.
My first shot.
Brian's second's got to be coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone? Kalen get his.
Kalen got his. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Ryan got his. I'm getting mine today.
Are you getting yours today?
Yeah.
Fancy.
Is it all the double shot?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know anybody who's gotten the single one.
Oh, I do. I have a lot of friends who've done it at Cedars. Really? Yeah, a lot of people got the Johnson & Johnson.
The single shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That one sounds better because there's one of them, and you don't have to. Everyone seems to wait. Like Brian, it's been a couple weeks, right?
Oh, it's been more than that. This Friday I'll get second shot, and then my doctor's like, wait a week, and then you go back to doing whatever.
And I think that's the thing with Johnson & Johnson is, you know, how I've heard it reported is essentially you might get hospitalized, but you won't die. And I'm paraphrasing. It's a great shot. It's a great shot. It's just the efficacy is, exactly. Like, 60 to 70 as opposed to 85 to 95.
All right. What else we got, Gina Gran?
Well, Florida Republican Representative Matt Gaetz is under investigation over allegations that he had sex with an underage girl. This, according to multiple news outlets. Gaetz has been accused of having the sexual relationship with a 17-year-old and paying for her travel. The third-term congressman denied wrongdoing, insinuating that he and his family have been under the threat of extortion from former justice official that he named on Tucker Carlson, David McGee. Gaetz has been charged and said he's cooperating with the DOJ. He went right on to the Tucker Carlson show to clear his name. He's been charged and said he's cooperating.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize
He's got the hair of someone who could do this.
Oh, and the chin.
And the eyebrows.
I don't know if you watched the interview, but Tucker did say at the end of it, it is the weirdest interview he has ever conducted. It was pretty bizarre. Here's a clip of one of the moments that he may have been referring to when he said it was weird.
I can say that actually you and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. Your wife was there, and I brought a friend of mine. You'll remember her. And she was actually threatened by the FBI, told that if she wouldn't cop to the fact that somehow I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme, that she could face trouble. And so I do believe that there are people at the Department of Justice who are trying to smear me, providing for flights and hotel rooms for people that you're dating who are of legal age is not a crime. And I'm just troubled that the lack of any sort of legitimate investigation into me would then convert into this extortion attempt.
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of or the context at all, honestly. But I would like to know who. So they're saying there is a 17-year-old girl who you had a relationship with. Is that true? And who are they? Who is this girl? What are they talking about at the New York Times?
The person doesn't exist. I have not had a relationship with a 17-year-old. That is totally false.
So the other part that I don't know if he's trying to take him down with him or just have this sort of bromance, but he said, there two of us on this screen. There were only two people on the screen.
Tucker gave him the new number. Who dis?
Well, no, he did it. He did it again because he said the two of us on the screen have both been, accused of, sexual misconduct. And Tucker's like, huh? So he lets him talk, and he's like, I think what you're referring to is a mentally ill woman 20 years ago who was stalking me, who I never met. Anyway, so he kept trying to pull Tucker in as the interviewer, and Tucker was just like, this is the weirdest interview I've ever conducted.
I did not see it. I normally watch Tucker's show and enjoy it, but I was getting hammered in Pasadena.
Yeah, makes sense.
Missed out on the entire thing. And I heard about it on the radio this morning.
You did watch it, actually. You live tweeted it.
Probably. Mike and I are going to Tucker's house in 2 weeks or something to film his podcast over there after we do Nashville.
Does he always have the resting confused face? Is that like off the air too, or is that just an on the air? Is that just an on the air?
I think it's sincere. It's sincere. Are you talking about Tucker?
Yeah.
He has a sort of sincere. I think it's his sincere face, or is it confused? I don't know.
He appears to have a resting, I don't know what's happening face, but that just could be his listening, concentrating face.
Yeah, that's who he is. He, by the way, is exactly the same, sort of on and off camera. It's his exact same demeanor, exact same face, exact same everything. He is that. He is who he is, whether you like it or not. That is who he is. But I think he was probably confused.
I think in this case he was
on.
confused for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does have the concerned face.
It's confused or concerned.
You could freeze frame any moment of that clip we just watched, and he would look like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah.
He was probably trying to convey that, I imagine.
Yeah, a lot of the interview, and you should definitely check out the whole thing, Adam. I'd love to get your take on the 8.5 minutes because.
Is it that long? 8.5 minutes? Wow.
Yeah. Because Tucker comes right on at the beginning and goes, this just happened. We have no information. So instead, we invited the guy that it's about. Matt, what's going on? And it's a wild ride. I'm trying to make sense of what Matt Gaetz is saying. So it's interesting.
Well, we'll stay posted.
Yeah.
Or I'll ask Tucker.
Oh, please. Oh,
Please.
So the Cleveland Indians will not allow fans to wear headdresses or mimic Native American face paint at Progressive Field this season. The team officially banned it on Wednesday. The club is opening its doors to fans at games this year, since it's all part of a team effort to eliminate cultural appropriation at stadiums. In the announcement, Indians officials said violations of the new rules could result in ejection or straight up denial of entry into games. My question, of course, was what about the Chiefs? Same thing. No headdresses, no face paint at Arrowhead
I
as
don't
well.
think, we're going in this weird direction, which is like we're doing like, well, we're going to have a separate graduation for the gay and lesbian community and a separate graduation for the Black and Hispanic community. And these like separate things, or like black dorms, or like stuff like that. And then we're also shitting on appropriation, like the two white chicks who go down to Guadalajara and learn how to make tacos. By the way, neither one of those things is a step toward the light. The appropriation, like whether it's food or headdress or whatever it is, I'm not talking about blackface, but I just mean like you getting into someone else's culture or another culture. We call it appropriation. I don't know. It was always kind of a tip of the cap, usually, to the culture that you were trying to mimic or dress like or cook like or sing like or whatever that is. It seems like that would seem to me the appropriation thing. Well, we're calling it appropriation. Like, I don't know. I drive with my daughter. My daughter puts her friends in the back of the car. We drive to Malibu, and we just listen to like Kanye West the entire time. So, is that bad? Should they be appreciating it? Should they kind of stay in their own lane? Should they just listen to Garth Brooks? Like,
what's interesting about that is Kanye West is one of the few, very few black iconic artists, let's just say, who have appropriated white culture. Ironically, with he used to dress very preppy. He had that whole preppy look we were talking about.
Yeah. A lot of N-bombs and a lot of hoes and stuff like that. But the point is I thought that was this country was we're supposed to do that. You're supposed to enjoy all the different cultures and the foods.
Melting pot.
Yeah, I mean, I get at a certain point if you're making fun of a culture sort of thing. But I don't think, if you go to an Indians game or a Chiefs game and you wear a headdress or the makeup or whatever it is, are you making fun?
I don't think you're doing it for a joke.
Right.
No.
I mean, you're a spirited fan,
Well, you know who's really going to take a hit? Coachella. Those
Mm.
bitches in their little like fringe bikinis with their headdresses and their undies. Oh boy, that's going to be a new world over there.
All right, Gina, sorry. Let's bring it home a little shorter because I got to hustle over to Leno's.
No,
shop.
you need a nap.
I need a nap.
All right, you got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, last but not least, there is Geico. Do you rent your home? We do one or the other. How about you get your bundle going with your automotive policy? Geico makes it so easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you got so much to do already around the house. So just go to geico.com, get a quote, and see just how much you could save when you go to geico.com and just how easy they can make bundling at geico.com. Almost sold out Nashville Zanies, by the way, coming up April 14th. So get to getting with that. Doing stand-up all over the place and live podcasts. Just go to adamcarolla.com for all that info. Rachel Uchitel, Seeking Arrangement is the name of the dating site. If you hadn't heard already, until next time, Adam Carolla for Gina and Bald and Rachel saying mahalo.